The lights dimmed in the Ed Sullivan Theater, and the audience waited with eager anticipation. What they did not know was that they were about to witness one of the most shocking confrontations in television history. It began like any other late-night interview. A Hollywood legend stepped on stage, greeted by thunderous applause. But beneath the polished smiles and scripted banter, a storm was gathering. What unfolded over the next 20 minutes was not entertainment. It was a collision of belief, pride, and raw emotion that would shake the late-night world to its core. By the end of the night, one man would walk away with his dignity intact, while another would be left standing alone on his stage, exposed before millions. The evening began innocently. Audience members filed into their seats, laughing at Colbert's opening jokes. Cameras rolled as music filled the studio, and the energy was electric. Denzel Washington, dressed sharply, walked across the stage with his signature grace. He shook Colbert's hand and sat down, flashing the warm smile audiences had come to love over decades of iconic performances. The first questions were light. They spoke about Washington's new film, a moving story of redemption that critics had already called Oscar-worthy. Colbert teased him gently about his reputation for perfectionism on set. Washington chuckled, responding with humility and charm. On the surface, it was everything a late-night interview should be. Two men laughing, talking, exchanging stories. But for those watching closely, small cracks were beginning to show. Colbert's smile seemed tight, his eyes sharp. Backstage, Washington's publicist shifted uneasily, sensing what was about to come. This was no ordinary interview. It was the calm before the storm. The shift came suddenly. Colbert leaned back in his chair, the playfulness in his voice fading. "This film is about forgiveness," he began. "Given your Christian faith, how did your beliefs shape the story?" It was a fair question on the surface, but there was weight beneath it. Washington answered with calm sincerity. He spoke of how faith, in all its forms, helps people understand forgiveness. He explained how his character in the film was searching for redemption, for a way back to the person he once was. The audience nodded approvingly. It was thoughtful, moving, and safe. But Colbert was not finished. He pressed further, his tone sharpening. "Hollywood is built on make-believe," he said. "Don't you think it's ironic when actors start lecturing audiences about values?" Washington's smile faltered, confusion flashing across his face. This was not the interview he had agreed to. His publicist tensed, ready to intervene. The first strike had been delivered, and the clash that followed would only escalate from here. Colbert leaned forward, sensing the tension. He pushed harder. He listed issues: marriage equality, reproductive rights, religion and politics, asking why Washington had stayed silent on these debates. The studio grew still, laughter replaced by uneasy silence. Washington's jaw tightened, but his voice remained calm. He explained that his faith taught love, not judgment. That his values were about dignity, hard work, and family, not politics. He reminded Colbert that he was not running for office, nor trying to dictate how others should live. But Colbert pressed again. He insisted silence was itself a statement. The host demanded to know what Washington's church preached, what views his pastor held, and where Washington himself stood. The warmth drained from the actor's face, replaced by steel. His voice cut through the tension. "Are you interviewing me about my film, or trying to get a viral clip?" The audience gasped. A fault line had opened, and neither man was prepared to back down. What had begun as a discussion was now a battle. Colbert accused Washington of hiding behind his values while refusing to take stands on urgent moral issues. Washington fired back, demanding to know who defined which issues mattered: Colbert, his audience, or the millions who simply wanted to watch a good film. Colbert invoked democracy, civil rights, and discrimination, framing silence as complicity. Washington's voice rose for the first time, rejecting the idea that his faith was political currency for television debate. The actor spoke firmly, declaring that respect and dignity mattered more than ideological boxes. The studio was divided. Some audience members applauded, others shifted uncomfortably. The rhythm of late-night banter had collapsed. This was no longer entertainment. It was a clash of two worlds, one rooted in Hollywood artistry and personal faith, the other in political theater and public accountability. And both men were determined to win. The tension snapped. Colbert accused Washington of cowardice, of using faith as a shield while avoiding responsibility. The word struck like a blade. Washington rose from his chair, his towering frame dominating the stage. His voice was steady, but his words cut deep. Cowardice is ambushing a guest on live television. Cowardice is hiding behind comedy to attack a man's character. The audience gasped. Some clapped, others sat frozen. Colbert, red-faced and trembling, tried to regain control. He claimed it was journalism, that he was holding Washington accountable. But the balance of power had shifted. Washington stood tall, unmoved by the attack. His presence filled the stage, his dignity unbroken. The confrontation was no longer between a host and his guest. It was between a man who felt betrayed and another unwilling to concede defeat. The breaking point had been reached, and what followed would send shockwaves far beyond the studio walls. Colbert pushed again, goading Washington with sarcasm. "Unless your faith only works when people are nice to you." The remark was designed to sting, and it did. Washington's eyes flashed, his patience finally fraying. He leaned in and delivered a line that silenced the theater. "My faith taught me to turn the other cheek, Stephen. But it also taught me not to cast pearls before swine." The insult landed with devastating precision. Colbert's face drained of color as the audience gasped, some in shock, others erupting with awkward applause. For a moment, the studio seemed frozen in time. Colbert's hands trembled as he gripped his cards, stammering in disbelief. "Did you just call me a swine on my own show?" But Washington did not back down. His words were measured, his presence overwhelming. "I called it like I see it. You were sitting there, tearing down a man's character for entertainment. What would you call that?" The mood had shifted beyond recovery. The laughter was gone, replaced by raw discomfort. A guest had turned the mirror on the host, and Colbert did not like what he saw. The confrontation escalated further. Colbert, his voice rising, insisted that he was practicing journalism, holding powerful figures accountable. But Washington countered sharply, dismantling the argument piece by piece. "Cowardice is hiding behind comedy to attack someone who cannot fight back on equal terms," he said. "Cowardice is what you are doing right now." The words echoed through the theater, slicing through the tension like glass. Several audience members shifted in their seats, uneasy with the spectacle. Some clapped hesitantly, but others sat stone still, unwilling to endorse either man's rage. Colbert stood from his desk, desperate to match Washington's presence, but his posture betrayed him. He looked smaller, angrier, and less in control. "If you can't answer tough questions," Colbert shouted, "maybe you shouldn't be doing interviews." Washington leaned forward, his voice dropping to a dangerous calm. "Maybe I should only do interviews with professionals who know the difference between a conversation and an ambush." The words struck harder than any shout, reducing Colbert's authority with chilling precision. The breaking point had passed. Washington stood tall, his composure steady, while Colbert's mask of confidence crumbled. The host accused him of hiding, of refusing to be accountable, of using faith as a shield. Washington countered with icy precision, declaring that respect and dignity were the marks of professionalism, not public humiliation. Then came the final insult. Colbert spat out the word, "cowardice." The accusation hung heavy in the studio air. Washington paused, then straightened his jacket. His decision was clear. He would not remain a pawn in a performance. Turning to the audience, he spoke with dignity. "To anyone watching at home expecting to hear about a film on forgiveness and redemption, I apologize. The film opens Friday. Judge it for yourself." The words carried the weight of finality. Colbert attempted to claw back control, but Washington's calm assurance eclipsed him completely. Then, with quiet authority, Washington stood, turned his back on the stage, and walked away. The silence in the room was deafening. Chaos erupted. The control booth signaled frantically to cut to commercial, but Colbert, his pride inflamed, waved them off. He shouted after Washington, accusing him of running from accountability, of hiding in safe spaces. Washington stopped, turned back, and delivered one last devastating blow. "Hero? I'm not trying to be a hero. I'm just trying to be a man. Something you might want to consider trying sometime." The studio gasped. The insult was surgical, devastating, and final. Colbert demanded security, but it was too late. Washington was already gone, leaving behind a stunned audience and a humiliated host. When the show returned, Colbert attempted to recover, but his charm had deserted him. The jokes fell flat. His interview with the musical guest was stilted, lifeless. The atmosphere was poisoned beyond repair. Meanwhile, clips of the confrontation had already begun flooding social media. Hashtags trended within minutes. Millions replayed the walkout, analyzing every word, every look, every insult. Colbert had sought a viral moment, and he had gotten one, but not in the way he imagined. The next morning, the fallout was undeniable. News outlets dissected the confrontation, headlines blazed across the internet, and public opinion tilted sharply against Colbert. Ratings plummeted. Advertisers expressed concern. Commentators questioned his professionalism. Think pieces filled newspapers, accusing him of sacrificing integrity for spectacle. Meanwhile, Washington rose above the storm with characteristic grace. When reporters pressed him for comment, he offered only a simple reply: "I wish Mr. Colbert well. I hope he learns from this experience. As for me, I am focused on my work and the people who support it." His film opened to critical acclaim and strong box office numbers. The irony not lost on anyone. A story of redemption overshadowed by a host's refusal to offer even basic courtesy. In the weeks that followed, Colbert's reputation suffered a deep and lasting wound. Industry insiders whispered about whether he could recover. What had been intended as a clever ambush had backfired catastrophically, leaving Colbert exposed while Washington's dignity remained unbroken. In the end, it became a defining moment, a clash between authentic principle and performative outrage. One man walked away taller than ever, while the other was left standing alone on his stage, facing the consequences of his own pride.